What's going on? Reality After
Oh,
Show.
they're so
We are
cute.
back. Beast Games Season 2. We are talking episode number 2. And boy, do I have a panel today. And they're ready to go. Let me tell you, they're fired up to be here on this podcast. We have Hannah, player 99. We have Emily, player 45. We have Asia, player 75. And we have Sasha, player 10. How are y'all?
So excited.
Good.
Doing well.
We're
Feeling
ready.
excited. Can't wait to share our experience. We have so much to say.
Oh. This is going to be a loaded one because we have everybody from every single section of the games, and we will dive into that. But first, I want to start with, you see all 10 of the returners. They are standing there, and they are bribing you with 100K. What is going through y'all's mind when they finally take off the mask and you see who they are?
I can start. I remember I remember being mad that I didn't predict this could happen. Like I was thinking about what a twist possibly could be, and that was not something at all that came to mind for me. And I remember just grabbing Asia and we both were like, "Are you joking? This is wild." Because it was like the biggest personalities throughout the show's history so far, and it was something I don't think I'll ever forget.
Yeah, jumping off that too, I was in complete shock, especially with the first game. A lot of people were anticipating that was actually gonna be a bribe. So I was really, really not expecting that. I was like full force in this mode. I think we were all just anticipating, just like completely fighting until it, like, oh God, there's going to be no more bribes for the show. So, like, seeing this one come out, I was like in complete shock. So, I immediately grabbed onto Emily, like, girl, we got to get into this.
Sasha, what did you think?
I was excited to be. I was excited. I have something to say, but I can't say it. But I was excited that they join us because, like, the competition level, I think immediately they changed the atmosphere and everyone like wanted to compete again because we were like a little
Mhm.
bit tired, exhausted, and some of the contestants like, oh, maybe I should be at home right now, not here. And after we saw them, immediately was like, no, we realize again why we are there. We are competing for 5 million. Those people brought some spices into the game, and I was really excited to see them.
Well, I'll say I was not excited to see them because I felt like every round people I was friends with got eliminated. So I was like, what if more friends take the bribe and more people I don't know come in and I have to start all over again? And I just feel like in so many reality TV shows, once there's like vets or like stars on the show, everybody gravitates towards them and like wants to work with them. And I was like, no, I don't want it to be like a fans versus favorite situation where like the favorites take it away and we just all disappear. So my initial thought was like, I hope they don't come in, and if they do, I hope we eliminate all of them.
That's such a good point, though. Oh my gosh.
I remember people talking about like, oh, we can't let this person in because they did X, Y, and Z. We can't let this person in. And then inevitably, when all 10 of them are in, it was like, hi, so nice to meet you. Like, I want to be your best friend. And I was like, I just heard everything you just said 2 seconds ago. Like, that's a very mixed emotion, like, moment for sure. And I know, like, seeing certain contestants, I was like, oh, this is, like, they are definitely a force to be reckoned with. But other people, like, I didn't feel threatened necessarily because, like, we're all here to play and all of us love the game. But at the same time, it was very funny to me watching people behind their back be like, oh, we got to get this person out, they're crazy, and then immediately run over to try and, like, I guess it's part of their strategy, you know, like try and make something out of the moment with them and maybe gain an ally or whatever. But it was
I mean,
pretty
keep your friends
mixed
close and your
bag.
enemies closer. Makes
Yeah,
sense.
exactly. It did make sense. It was just very funny.
Mhm.
So you knew that at least one person was definitely coming into the game. So I'm going to ask, who were you okay with coming in and who's a person absolutely did not want to see them touching the line, coming over to the side of the circle? Asia, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I was shocked that Mia got picked last. And I even made a point of like telling her that too. I was like, I am shocked that you were picked last. Like, granted, she won an island, but she played a fair game, and I respect her for that. So, and also she was super, super sweet. And even, knowing that we were in a competitive area, like, in a competitive game, she was still really just like great to talk to, both on and off screen. So, yeah, really, I was hoping out of all people, like someone like her, and she got picked last, and that made no sense. Like they picked the villains over her, which was crazy to me. So that's my piece.
Emily, how about you?
I remember seeing when Jeff took his mask off last. I remember being like, "How on earth is he back?" But that was somebody that I wanted to come back because, kind of how you were saying, Asia, like the people that won some prize or some money or something, it makes sense for them to. I mean, at that point, like everybody wants to win, and if you're going to be able to keep winning, that's amazing. But someone like Jeff, like that's somebody you would want to be friends with because it's not like he's going to screw you over. He's already won, and there are other people who have done things like that. And also, he's just a super honest person. Same with like seeing Courtney too. Like I was excited. I was hoping she was going to get picked because like I wanted her to have her redemption arc. She's such a sweet person, very down to earth. But then at the same time, there are threats like Akira. Like Akira, I respect the way he plays the game so much, and like we ended up playing together, which was really cool for me. But at the same time, watching him take his mask off, I was like, this is somebody who has been down the beast road before. He knows how these games work. He has so much experience, which is valuable, but also super threatening at sometimes for some people because like he knows how to play the game and he's not going to stop until he wins, and he just wants to play. And I respect that every time. But very, very interesting watching people start to figure out who they're going to select. And I didn't actually know if all 10 people were going to be picked. So that was pretty entertaining too.
Sasha?
I'm the worst podcaster you ever met. To be honest, my emotions was like, wow, cool. These people have a second chance to compete. Like they need this chance. If they are here, they need it. I didn't have any emotions like is it a good situation or bad situation. I was just happy for them. The competition levels was more higher, and I'm like at the most chill person on that games. I didn't strategize. I didn't like strategize for myself. Like if someone will return whom I wanna be together with, because this game unpredictable. You have no idea what will be the next challenge. You're trying to build some strategies and it's never working. And I was just excited, and every time like even some of them have like not the good reputation, like Kareem guy. At the same time, he's just human being, and why not have the redemption or second chance or whatever? And honestly, I didn't like that situation about the Kareem and Louis, how it was presented, how Louis was reacting, but it's also his choice. I was just observing, relaxing, enjoying being the part of the game. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like everybody was going to come back in. So kind of felt like when everyone was taking time to like choose somebody, I kind of felt like, oh, what's the point? Everyone's going to come back in eventually. So why are we doing all this? Just out of people, like gossiping during the games, like, I hope there's a bribe. But I kind of agreed with, maybe it was Emily who said this, about like people who had already won money, like Jeff or JC. I felt like they were going to be less likely to screw other people over because they already had won something. And I felt like Jeff already has a sort of like hero edit in the world. So I don't think he'd want to switch to be seen as a villain. Maybe JC would want to rehabilitate his image and be seen as more of a hero and not a villain. So I felt like those were the people that I felt most confident would not screw me over for a bribe in the future.
For sure.
They end up all back in the game. So they're here, and finally they let you know what you're going to be doing. You get the choice of 4 different options, and all of you picked a different option that I would love to talk about. So what made y'all pick your specific choice, and did you factor in who's going to what location before making that choice?
I keep going last, so I guess I
start first.
Oh, Sasha, you go.
Yeah, because for me, when I like saw that circle and I'm like, balance, what the hell will be the balance? Like blocks, I have like really screwed memory about the blocks. And like, oh no, then it was like balls and who will be on the balls and the bluffs. I'm not the bluff person, I'm super honest. But for me personally, it was like maybe the choice when I thought first as Asia about the balance. But then I saw all these strong people came to the balance and started to do like handstand, whatever. I'm like, no way I'm going there. And it was over 40 people for the blocks. And I said, like, okay, God, universe, energy, like give me there like some kind of impulse where I need to go. And I've been staying at each like circle, I would say, and I felt the impulse only around the bluff. And I'm like, okay, bluff, I will go for the bluff. Maybe some like cases I've been thinking, and you can like read, and I will tell just the truth, like, okay, yes, you can pick and you screw me over from this game. It was my choice. And when I stand there around the bluff area, I saw who is coming to the bluff. I'm like, oh my lord. It was like Jimmy, LA, a lot of like people who like, yeah, it's perfect for you what I am doing here. But I was literally not ready for any balance thing, not for the balls, not for the blocks. It was just only one choice, and the like universe sent me there with that energy. And I will tell you later why I've been so happy that I've been kicked out by myself in that game. Yeah.
Definitely, we'll get to it. Hannah, how about for you?
Yeah, for me, it was like choosing what's the lesser of the evils here, because I didn't feel good about any of them. Like balls, immediately I was like, nope, I did not grow up doing sports. I don't want to do that. Balance, I was like, if it is a physical balance, like maybe I'd be okay because I am a professional dancer and living statue performance artist. But then again, you see all these people doing like handstands and all this stuff, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and I'm like shaking uncontrollably because I'm so nervous. Never mind, don't want to do that. Bluff, I similarly, I do not feel good about like bluffing games. I don't feel like confident in them. So I was like, I feel like I would similarly just like tell the truth and pray nobody eliminates me. So I was like, I guess by default it's blocks. Like I don't want to do blocks. And I even turn to the camera and say like, hell no, I'm not doing blocks. And of course I did that one. But yeah, it was like the lesser of the evils, not because I wanted to do blocks.
Emily?
Yeah, my experience, so balls was the first choice announced, and I've been an athlete my whole life, but not anywhere near the stature of the strong folks. Like, I'm so glad I was on the team that I was on, because as much fun as the strong challenge looks like it would have been selfishly, I would not want to do that under the pressure of $5 million. So when I was looking at all the options, balls what like made the most sense to me just because of what I know I'm capable of, but I also knew going into that circle would mean playing against pretty much all of the strong people or like the biggest strong team alliance. So I kind of waited, made it look like as if anyone was paying attention to me. It's just me in my head trying to be mysterious, but I'm, I'm making it look like I'm not sure. I don't know what I want to do, but I knew from the jump that's what I wanted. I can't lie. I laugh way too much and I smile way too much. I can't. I can barely walk in a straight line. I'm just not coordinated like that, even though I've done sports my whole life, and I was not about to go against the calisthenics folks, even though I had a feeling it wasn't going to be a strong challenge just based on the graphic. But the other one, blocks, I just had too much PTSD, same like Hannah, was not going to go back there. But I remember one of the smart people coming up to me and like basically shaking me by the shoulders and being like, you can't go in balls, they're going to eat you alive, like you have to be careful, like come to bluff with us. And I was like, I'm going to trust my gut, like this is where I want to go and this is what I know I'm going to do. So I just kind of waited until I could see how many people I was playing against, and I was counting, and I was like, I know I can outlast 8 of these people or 9 of these people, whatever it was, as we were getting through the game. So I just felt drawn to that, even though I knew I was going to be by myself. The other thing, though, that was sad was like all of our friends, our like smart girlies, like friendship alliance, we were all knowing like this could be the final goodbye. We were separating, and we all knew. We all kept saying trust your gut, but all of our guts were going different directions, and it was like the sad Kermit meme, like I'll see you later, I'll see you on the other side, which was like sad. So you're watching your friends step away as you begin to start your own game, because now it's just you and that quantity of people in your circle with you. So that was a pretty tough moment to watch everybody walk away and not know who you were going to see again, but also not know if you were going to make it through.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. That was the hardest part is we really did like I mean, for like most of the show, we didn't know anything or what was going to happen.
Yeah.
So, and as we've seen from the edit, I don't have a poker face. So, there was no way in hell I was going to bluff. Like, that was just a joke to me. And then I saw balls and I was like, absolutely not. I played softball growing up, but there was no way it was going to be anything like that. So, that was immediately a no. And then, of course, when it came down to blocks, I was like, I legitimately was traumatized by doing the block challenge. I was like, I cannot do this anymore. I can't look at primary colors. I'm done. So
Mm-mm.
naturally, the only one that was left was balance. But at the same time, too, there was this gut instinct where it was just like, even though I knew it wasn't going to be a physical challenge, I was almost excited for it to be because one of the things that Hannah and I actually bonded over on the show was the fact that we are both performing artists. So I have a lot of experience standing for several hours, holding certain positions for a long time. Even though my body may not reflect it, I have a lot of athleticism. And I felt like I wanted to prove myself quite a bit. So seeing that many strong people over there was really a big interest to me. So seeing them all do handstands and stuff like that was like very interesting. So I came over, looking nerdy as I was, and for the longest time, I was the only smart person in there. It wasn't until Glory who added in last second. Um, and thank goodness I got to see her in there, but I also, got to see her make it to the city, which we'll get to later. But no, whatever kind of scenario I put into my head, I was like thinking about any type of balance game it could be. So like thinking about the physical one. Okay, at least I could play it. And like the same thing with Emily. I was like, I could outlast quite a few of the people in this room. And then I was like, okay, if it was a balancing game with like strategy and things like that, I'm like, I also think that would be so fun and something up my alley. So I was like, either of these games I could compete in. And I was like, yeah, this makes sense. So like my gut was completely drawing me towards it. So I hopped in immediately. And that's how I decided on balance.
It's a tough
I want
choice.
to add that, like, uh, yeah.
Go ahead, Sasha. Yeah.
I remember the struggling. I remember Asia. She was like, I really want to go there. I remember your emotions. And I realized that why I also picked the bluff because I was usually when you play in the mafia games, I kicked out the first one because I can read everyone in the room. From the moment you see your card, I know who is the bad guy, who is the good guy, and I'm criminal detective. I have like degree as a psychologist, hypnotherapist, and it's my work to read people's emotion to see which trauma going out there. And this is also why I choose the bluff because I could read what they are saying. It wasn't like I've been thinking. If it's something like case game, I can read what literally there because like I can read people. This also was like one of the conscious choice to be on the bluff games.
Oh, you know
It's
what?
not
That
about
does
like
remind
how you are feeling. Are you can you lie to can you lie to someone? It's also if you can read if someone lying to you. It's interesting.
Mhm. Um, I was gonna add one more thing too that Sasha just reminded me of. So, because I was like I mentioned, the longest time I was the only smart person in that until Gloria added on, but still, even then, there was only two of us. Um, I made direct eye contact with Johnny, who was like right at the border of the lines between blocks and balance. And like when he made eye contact, he was like, and he went to say something, and I said, "You look surprised." And I was like, "Are you shocked?" And like I kind of said it in an intimidating tone too, because like there was like not a tension, but there was a little bit of tension from the first game between us before we got all put into our places and to so like I feel like a lot of people kind of were intimidated by me, or but at the same time kind of like, oh, like thought nothing of me. And so getting like over there, it was kind of like a severancing from like the smart team almost for a sense, because like the majority was all over there. And then immediately I started recognizing all the people that were in blocks, and they were like, oh my God, what are you doing in balance? So it was kind of like, oh, she's gonna like die. But then I think once they saw the edit and saw how I played it, I think that shift has changed thus. But at the beginning, people were like, oh, like wrong choice. Like that's initially how everyone was interpreting my decision, which was also very interesting.
Yeah, I had the same exact experience in Balls
But
Asia. Like the minute I stepped in, it was like everybody else who's left on the smart team is like, because they're watching like Nick and all these people who are like the most fit athletes ever, and I'm just sitting there like excited to play. But one thing I had been saying the whole time, like, we wait so long in between filming. I just wanted to play. Like, I wanted to run around. I wanted to do something like
Yeah.
active and just like have a good time. And if I was gonna go out, I wanted to go out doing something I was gonna enjoy. So, and like, I love being active and doing stuff. So it made me laugh watching like all of our own reactions to each other in the game, but specifically the smart team, because we're not as like outward facing, we're all very internalized. But when we started to separate for the first time, it was like, oh no, like they're toast. And it was like, no, like you guys don't know me like that. Like I'm gonna hold my own. Even if I get out, like I'm gonna go out and have a good time. So I totally agree.
Right. And you don't necessarily know what the game is specifically going to be until they tell you, because
Of course.
right, I never would have picked blocks because I don't have steady hands. And so I'm instantly thinking, oh, it's probably you potentially individually stacking on your own. But then seeing it go down, it's a team component. I probably would have liked that much better. So it's really a risk what you do, because you never know, and it's specifically who's there. And so let's hit the ground running with balls. We'll start there because that's where it hits with the show. So Emily, I'm going to let you take this one away. When they say that you're playing dodgeball, are you excited to hear that it's dodgeball?
I was. I just said I wanted to play something so bad because as smart as we all are and as intelligent as the smart team is, I love to run around. I love to like use my hands, do different things. That's what I do as my job. I'm a rocket scientist and I do it's like real life Legos. I put things together and I break them down, clean them, put them back, and like I just wanted to do something that was like mentally stimulating but also still going to get me able to like get some energy out and have a good time. So I was looking forward to dodgeball, and I think people thought that I was going to be nervous about that. Like when it was announced, all the strong people immediately were looking at the smart people, like doing the math. But I had already done the math. Like I knew there was not as many smart people in there. I knew that everybody with sleeves on was going to be a target. So it was an interesting dynamic the minute the game was announced.
Oh, yeah. But you did such a good job. I love that episode that was on some promotional videos. You're posing like, and the ball fly out. You've been a superstar, rock star over there. I was so proud watching you playing that game. My goodness me, I have such a great emotions, and I love that game because it's like still you controlling will you be able to move forward or not a choice, not a
Right.
team when you like rely on one person. And it's interesting. I actually like both of the games. Like I like balls and I like balance. In bluffs it wasn't like a lot of, it was luck, and in the blocks if you were picked not in the right team you lose your chance. It's also I would prefer for blocks literally their personal competition instead of the team games.
Yeah, I felt like when they announced it was dodgeball, even before going in and knowing what the game was going to be, I figured it would be something pretty individual because like just the size of the room and I mean at the point I was assuming we were still staying in that room. Just the size of where we were and the amount of people that were in there, it just felt like it was going to be individual, and I knew that also meant that like there was probably some opportunity for strategy because he kept saying like half of us are going to be eliminated. So there's always a way to work on a team and do something like that. But all my friends at that point are gone and they're in other games. So I had friends with the strong team and we all get along in the city and everything. But it was the first time I was like, I have to get on my horse and either like double down and be by myself and proud of it, or figure out a way to work with other people because I want to. And I'm not afraid of making, a new ally and a new team. So for me, it was just like trying to remember the biggest thing is like dodgeball as they went through and started explaining the rules. The whole time I'm like smiling ear to ear because I was like, this is a mental game. Like they gave us the balls. I'm like, this is not
Yeah.
about who is the strongest person in the room. There are so many rules that go into like being able to play, and like you can't step on the red line. You have to throw like within 10 seconds. There's just so many things that like I knew people were going to forget, and I was going to use that to my advantage because I'm a rule follower. I'm a nerd. My whole job I have to
Mm-hmm.
follow rules. Like I was just excited to be able to like outsmart people in a way that was not necessarily by like taking a test or stacking blocks.
Yeah, Emily, I wanted to ask, like, of all those rules, like not stepping on the red line or not
Mhm.
holding the ball or all those things, like what were you most concerned about, or were you not concerned about those at all? And I'm also curious, did you like actively verbally like try to make any deals or like anything in there, or were you just kind of like doing your own thing, and if you're with people you would try to work with them?
Yeah, it was really interesting when the first round started and they split the floor. At that point, I was after the fact, I was like mad at myself that I didn't think about how it's an LED floor and they can probably put so many patterns and like separate all of us and whatever. But in your head, you're so focused on like following the rules and making sure you're doing the right thing. So when they split it halfway, I was like, okay, it's probably just going to be halfway every time. And like I start because I know patterns really well. I picked up like how many seconds in between the floor converging and the lines shooting out it would take, and like who I needed to stand around, and maybe like was the smartest thing to like stay right in the back pocket of the people that you didn't want throwing against you so that you end up on the same side because you can't friendly fire. Like there were just little things going on the whole time that I'm trying to consider, but I didn't say any of that out loud, and I didn't like Autumn and I were friends and Patrick and I are friends, and like I think by default the everybody with sleeves on was kind of like looking out for each other, like, hey, this is awful because we know we're all going to get ganged up on, but nobody really spoke that the way that like the strong team was like, let's get this person, or let's do this, or like you have to stay in front of me or whatever. I thought that was interesting because it was just another example of like how differently we all solve problems, and like how different skill sets give you that like opportunity to showcase what you're good at. So for me, like I remember just I just remember the whole time repeating the rules to myself over and over. And the one that I was the most concerned about was like how much time I had before I would drop the ball. Because when you get in the moment and you're in the zone, it's like, I'm going to get this person or I have to dodge. But if you're not throwing, if that's your strategy, like you have to keep an eye on the clock, but it's in the middle of the floor. So if you take a half second to look down, someone could be throwing at you. So for me, I just counted myself and like would like trust but verify and like try and look really quickly at the clock. And that was probably the rule I was most concerned with because I didn't want to get caught still holding my ball at the end of the round because you could only throw when the light was red. So I was worried about forgetting that somehow on top of all the other rules you have to pay attention to.
The amount of people that went out by having the ball in their hand and stepping on the line was almost just as much as people getting hit to get eliminated.
Yeah, we actually played a lot more rounds than you get to see because we all kept like making little mistakes like that, and it was at the point where they were like, this isn't even a game. Like they were expecting us to be just like full guns blazing like back and forth at each other across the line, but all of us after the first time the floor split beyond half, we were like, oh man, like we got to be a little bit more strategic. And I was laughing because I'm like, this is exactly what I was hoping for, like a smart, intelligent, strategic game related to sports, but not just like a muscle match, you know.
You survive and make it through, though. That's all that matters.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I know
Yeah.
there was a lot of moments where, I mean, you even see it in the show. It was like when Patrick and I were separated by ourselves, that was the first time it was like a big brawl and we were like actually playing. We weren't just like still learning the rules and figuring it out. And that first round with Patrick, I just remember like selfishly, I'm a Gemini, so my ego was a little like, oh, I'm gonna show these people who the hell I am, and they have no idea. But the outward facing part of me was like, I need to like buck up and make sure that I understand how to follow all the rules and still survive this round. It was like 14 people versus me because none of them were gonna shoot at Patrick except for maybe Akira, which I was thinking already ahead of time because he's smart enough to realize they're all distracted. Let's go for him. But it was disheartening for sure to watch myself be ganged up on multiple times that there's other times that you don't get to see, and it was like, let's get Emily, like we have to get her out, like how come she can't go down, whatever. But at the same time, like clips later, everyone's fine not throwing at other people because they're standing by themselves, and I was like, I don't want your empathy, but where was mine, you know? Like why is it that just because I have sleeves on and just because I came to play the game and I'm one of the few actually playing the game, and following the rules and like wanting to compete because that's what we're here to do, why is it that I get targeted? So that was a little disheartening because I was excited to play, but it became just such like an alliance based game that I wasn't anticipating, and the pace was just like, it's really easy to target people who were not part of your alliance, which like that's a strategic move, that's fine, but um knowingly choosing to go after me, but then spare no expense for other people who might be in a similar situation to myself as like a minority in the group. was a very interesting decision in my opinion.
Well, I just want to add, like, it's also like obviously strategically it makes sense. You want to stick with your alliance, but it's also dangerous in that some of those people, if they'd been willing to turn on their alliance earlier, may have made it back into the city. Like they
Yes.
were almost like putting their own games at risk to stick with their alliance, which, you know,
For sure.
like pros and cons of both. So it's just like interesting. If
Yeah.
some people had turned on over earlier, they could have kept going.
Yeah, honestly, I remember being frustrated while we were playing because I wanted to play. Like we were all just being like so nice in the beginning and like, oh, like I don't want to throw or whatever. And I was like, I want to compete. And like we all talk about wanting to do that all day, and we're finally here. And it's like, you guys are just gonna group together and then like pick people out one by one. And it's like, where is your like ownership of your own game? Like this is the chance to take your game into your hands and like show people who you are. And um, I was just I don't know. I respect everybody for playing the game, and I had a really really fun time even after the fact. Like I gave them all shit for it. I was like, hey, like really easy to target us when we're the only ones with sleeves on, but like we're still standing. Like Jeff and I really bonded in that game because of being picked off and trying to be picked off. But at the same time, you have to let it go if you're going to move forward with these people in the game. Like you have to be able to work with them. You don't have to be the best friend in the alliance with them all the time, but you have to be able to work with them because you never know what's going to come up soon. So I think it was a moment for me to prove to other people that like you can be smart and you can be strong and you can be fierce and you can be a force without having to be put into one category at one time. And that was the biggest takeaway I wanted from that game for the world to see. And I'm really, really glad they got to see that. I've gotten a lot of really positive comments about like how I have been a role model for people for perseverance, especially like coming from a stereotype of like nerdy rocket scientist to like doing something super athletic and having a good time while doing it and following all the rules. So I was glad that I got the opportunity to kind of reconcile what happened with the folks that we were playing with that were targeting me and move forward the best that I could.
You crushed it. That's all I can say. And I mean, you survived and got through and played the game the way that you wanted to play the game. I'm happy you're
Yes.
good with the experience and how it went down for you personally.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, Asia, I'm coming to you. I'm ready for this because this is we have thoughts. Let's just start right from the beginning and the matchup. How the matchup became, why you decided to go with her. What's her name again? Remind me.
Katie.
Yes, Katie. Yes. Start there.
Okay. Wow. So having to relive it, I gotta say, watching it was a whole nother ball game, pun intended. Um, it was really interesting because immediately we saw the circles pop up on the floor and people were like, okay, like how are we going to do this? Like we knew we had to pair off, but before they even announced that we were going to be eliminating each other, there was only 11. And so you doing the math on it, I was like, it wasn't like, oh, what duo does its best is going to make it to the city. It was, yeah, we are all getting split in half. Like that was the math on it. So whoever you're pairing up with was who you were going to compete with before we even were told what the game was. So we actually had to pair off before we were told what the game was too. So they gave us that time to walk around and talk to people. And the first person I talked to naturally was Gloria. She and I like walked up to each other and we hugged it out, and we were both under the same understanding that we cannot compete against each other because we had to increase our chances of both of us getting into the city. Like that was a big deal. She's like, there's no way I can compete against her. And if it came down to it and we got paired up, I was gonna let her go no matter what. Like that was like the the thing we were kind of like planning at the very end, because I was like looking at this room, I was just like, yeah, I'd rather her just be able to go because I don't even know who wants to pair up with us, because it also seemed like no one wanted to for the longest time. So she went off and started looking for folks, and I stood for a minute because I was evaluating, and that's when Katie came up to me and she was like, "Hey, I don't really know you," which is like true. She and I actually, at no point for some reason, had never met in the city, so it was our first time even just seeing each other's faces. So I don't know how we were living in the city and just never met each other, but everyone else in the room I had either had made conversation with or at least recognized, but she and I had never met, which was crazy to think. So there was no bias there, and we talked it out. I was like, yeah, so like, that way we don't have to think about, oh, like I came into like the game with this person, or I had an alliance with them, or like I had previous tension with them. It was completely neutral, and I was at peace with that going against a competitor like that, because that's how any competition I've been in has been. So we were totally fine pairing off, and we were actually making light of it because we were the first people to actually make a pair. And we looked around the room and everyone was still like really, really tense. And I was like, oh, you know what? We should get a camera at the front since like the circles are open. Like, let's go in. And then at that point, Monica and her circle had already been picked. So we chose the one to the left. She and I actually held hands and ran to the circle and jumped in together. Like, it was like a whole girl bonding moment of the two of us, like getting into the circle. And we were all excited and laughing and jumping and stuff like that. And like the room was tense. It was still really quiet. And for the longest time, what took forever was no one wanted to pair up with Ian. And it was funny because he was my second choice. I stand by that. People are gonna be like, no, no. I'm like, no, he legitimately was my second choice. Had Katie not come up to me, I would have taken him on because I was like, whether this is physical or not, because like physical, like whatever, at least I lose against like the craziest dude in here. Like, let's be real, like that would be just so fun to watch. Like, okay, like girl, we know you're gonna lose, but at least make it entertaining. That made good TV. That made sense to me. But even in the chance that it was like a more intellectual game, that would still be fun because I want to compete against someone who might be like the strongest in the room. So like for me, that was like my thought process. So me standing with my hands behind my back, that was me evaluating folks in the room. And so he was going to be my second choice. And I thought it was funny actually watching no one want to pair up with him towards the end. Um, so once everyone eventually got paired off, that's when they determined that they were gonna, pick who got the jersey. And like they gave us the blue and yellow jersey. So obviously I got put back in my blue, and so like I was fine, and Katie got switched into yellow. So now that everyone's made their selections and we switched into our new jerseys, we were notified of the rules and how it was going to play out. And then we were brought back into the room where they had the apparatus set up, which was so crazy to see that it was identical to the photo. And all it made me think was about all my friends, actually. I was like trying to remember what those like images looked like for their game because I was like, oh my God, then like Emily's definitely playing like dodgeball basketball or something because it was a flaming basketball. And I was like, it has to be that. So even without knowing what her challenge was, I was immediately thinking what it could have been because our image was uncanny, like how much it like looked exactly like what was in the image. I was also relieved because even though I was excited to do something more physical, seeing that it was definitely more of a game of chance and strategy was like, okay, like this is something I can play. And I think even Katie was like, oh my God, like for a minute, because, as you saw in the edit, she had perceived me as weak. And so I think seeing that we got paired up for something that required no strength was also changing up her ideas in her head. So right off the bat, whatever people had in their brains, it just completely had to be thrown out the window. Um, so you can see it in the edit too, where we pick up the heart. So they did give us a chance to at least feel the weight of it. And I'm not gonna lie, guys, like everyone else was like, you could hear them like guessing like weights and stuff like that. I was holding it in my arms. I'm like, I have no idea how much this weighs. But you know what I did do in my head? Um, I felt the tension in my arms. Like I could feel where I flexed in my arms. And so anytime you put so kind of going back to the rules, so when we had to select a rock, you were given like 30 seconds to pick one of the rocks, and you had to hold it up to the camera to show that you only had one rock. Like that was to make sure it was fair. And it was also to make sure that you didn't pick a rock before knowing how much the plate weighed. So anything on that plate you could actually pick up and move around. So as long as you weren't touching them by the end of the timer and they were still on there. So what would happen is you would pick a rock and then go over to the pile and like put your rocks together and like weigh it with your own hands to see if it's under or over the heart at that point. And that was your only way of knowing like, okay, and by that point, you just arrange it as best as you can because like what can I do past now? I can't pick another rock. Like if this one feels too heavy, like I can't go back and feel another rock. But anyways, so like that was my strategy was like, okay, feeling the tension. And anytime I would go over and feel my rocks, I was like, okay, my tension in my arm is not there yet. So we still have a lot of weight to add to this. So she got to go first and she put down a big rock and um maybe people noticed it on off screen or whatever, but some of those rocks were foam. Um, and some of them had like weights added to them. So they would either be like the true like fully foam where it was like literally weighed nothing, and then there was rocks that had like 5 pound weights in them, And so they were just like heavy as heck. Whereas like the other rocks that were like real rocks, they were their own natural weight. So it really truly was a variety, and there was a lot of them in there. So she picked a big rock. I had no way of knowing how heavy that rock was going to be. So I took a chance and also took a big rock, put it on there, felt the weight, didn't feel the tension on my arms. So I was like, okay, we can keep moving on. Um, and then a couple rounds went, and Gloria was the first one to make it into the city, and I hoped and prayed for that. I literally said, if both of us can't make it, I literally just want Gloria. It did make me think, oh gosh, now I'm the only smart person in the room. Like that's a target on my back, because that's more so of what I felt. I was like, okay, people are definitely going to be like, we got to get this person out. Um, so the rounds went on forever, like a lot longer than people like anticipated. Because once those hearts started dropping, that's when people realized, okay, like this is not as easy as we thought. Like people were like, oh, this is like no breeze. And then like people got out and they were like, oh my God. So that's when people started picking all those smaller rocks and things like that and building their strategies. But you get to a certain point when you're stacking where you don't have enough time to restack them if they fall. Because like same thing in the blocks game if they fell. So as long as you could put them back up on the plate before the timer ends and not have your hands on it, you were still in the game. Um, so once we got into like I don't know the 30 plus rounds that we were doing, like I'm talking there was so many rounds, it really just came down to chance. So I was like, I played this game, fairly the entire way through, and I feel I'm going to keep that same composure at the end. So when it came down to my turn, they were like, hey, you want to pull yours? And I was like, might as well. I went to go pull it, and like everyone's shattering behind me, and I was like, all right. So I went to go pull it, and immediately I could feel it was stuck. That pin was stuck. Like normally it comes out pretty smooth. It's just like you're pretty shaky pulling it out, but like I could feel that it was not going to be coming out smoothly. And like so I turned to her and I was like, respectfully, I was like, enjoy the city. And then I pulled it and I watched it go. And you could see me smiling because I was like, with Emily, I had so much fun with this game. I literally
Yes.
told people at home, I was like, I would literally love to see this become a board game because it was so much fun. So I was glad that I got into a game that I actually had fun with. Um, Obviously watched it fall, heartbreak, heartbreak. But the stuff that like, wasn't shown as much too was like because this was a strategy game, I have to remind people, it was so tense in there because everyone was deeply trying to focus, and we don't have music. That's added in post. So this room was silent, and the only people who were ever talking were the people who were like whispering into their GoPro or our circle. We were the loudest circle in the fucking room because Katie on the first rock was like doing the ka-ching stuff. She was like screaming, like she was making, like she was hooting and hollering for sure. She was making sounds. And I was like, all right, like go for it. And like every time she passed around, I clapped for her. And you can see it in the background where I'm like always like clapping for her. And like I would look around the room and everyone would be like, what are you doing? Like I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, I thought that was impressive. My bad. Maybe I shouldn't be clapping for my competitor, but I did every single time that she won a round. I clapped for her, which was like 30 rounds, mind you. So like every round I was like, "Yay!" And I think that actually irritated her more because like you can hear her get more upset when I made it further. Like she'll just like whisper behind me like when I passed, she's like, F, like, oh my God, like she was getting so upset that I made it past that many rounds. And at one point, she actually turned and looked at me and she said, why are you being so nice to me? And I like looked at her and I said, I want a good competitor. Why would I want to play a game against someone who doesn't want to try? Like, so you better try. And that's exactly how we went forward with it, was like we were going at our 100%, both of us. And Nolan was actually at the front with I can't remember what's his name, but they had a camera down in the pit to the left of us. And at one point it was Katie's turn and she was going, and I was standing there with my same composure, mind you, and I could hear him telling the camera, like, look at Asia, she's shaking. And I whipped my head around so fast and I said, no one's shaking up here. And like to the point where they turned their heads and looked at me, and I was like, do you see me? No one's shaking. I'm calm, I'm composed, I'm peaceful. And like the other dude like was pointed at Nolan and he was like, she just called you out. Like she's not shaking. Like, are you gonna use this footage? And like he like laughed, but then like the footage like they took the camera away. Oh, my camera or my light just died. But yeah, no, he was like trying to make it that I was like shaky. At no point was I shaky, even when I was pulling my own death like pin. I thought that was crazy to me. I was like, man, they are just really trying to make this narrative that I'm intimidated, but I'm not. So I think that was the craziest point, was just like how much in that energy, like, even though I was having fun and playing this game and we were in our own quite literal bubble, people were also focusing on how much of a storyline was there between the two of us. The fact that it was like brains versus bronze, apparently. But, it was a game of thought and strategy. But at the end of it, it was chance. It all came down to who was going next at this point because like you couldn't lift the rocks and know how much was being weighed. You just had to pick up a rock and hope that this wasn't going to tilt it over. And so that's kind of what happened with our game. And I feel like I went out exactly how I wanted to. Like I have really good sportsmanship, like Emily. I've played sports, and I don't know. I feel like you have to be a loser to be a good athlete. And so people who don't know how to lose properly are like the worst athletes to play against. And
So
so for
true.
me, like
So true.
I feel like people should have known by then, like with how much niceness I was bringing in, there was just so much they didn't know what could have happened. Like if it was a physical game, who knows what could have happened with me because I could be a completely different person past that point. But just had to air that out, and that's how things went. I also didn't see the edit until obviously the show aired, so I actually didn't know she made all those comments about me until after. So that was a little like sad to see.
Yeah.
Just because we were so friendly in it, and like I thought she was just talking to the camera when she was like making comments because they encouraged us to, of course, to like it was like this
Hmm.
is your competitor, say things about it. But she would whisper to the like GoPro like, oh, I'm taking her down. I was like in the background I was like, yeah, she's taking me down, like like so like I literally would nod everything off because I didn't take anything personally or at face value. And then I saw the edit and I was like, oh, I didn't know the two people that I possibly went against for both like she's weak, and I was like, I'll take you two for 800.
Asia, I remember when I got back to the city post that game, it was also my first time meeting Katie. Somehow I had just never run into her, probably because, I mean, you never did either, and we were like side by side the whole time, so maybe that makes sense. But I remember seeing her, and we're all hugging, whatever, like, congratulations on making it. And I introduced myself, and we're talking about it, and I was like, who did you play against? And she said, Asia, and my heart sank. I was like, this girl doesn't know that that is my homegirl, but like, obviously I'm being nice, whatever. Life happens. I didn't know your game at that point, and she was like, honestly, she was the most fair competitor. She was so nice to me. Like, I really, really enjoyed playing with her. And she's like, I think she was like rattled from the experience. All of us are rattled from our own games just because it was like a big, like, emotional moment for everybody making it that far or not making it or whatever. But I do remember meeting her and her talking about how you both said you just wanted a fair competitor and like you got that in each other. So that was really cool. But then watching it back and seeing some of the comments, I was like, not my homegirl getting called weak, and you're in the back like.
No,
So
the
that was
edit
really
was
funny.
diabolical. I gotta say,
It
you
was
know what?
crazy.
And this is staying on record. I hope they know that you guys were so wrong to close up on my face with no makeup on, dead focused, tired. Not that I'm gonna sue, but just know that the thought was there. That was diabolical. I was more offended by that than being called weak. I have to say that close up was no.
That screen time though. That screen time, run it up.
I guess, but that's not the time I wanted. I did not want that face on that screen for that long.
That's
But
so
neither here
funny.
nor there. Yeah.
Well, Asia, you were shown, which is awesome because many people, unfortunately, there's so many of us, everyone can't be shown just edit
Mm.
wise. So awesome that everybody here was seen at some point. Also,
For sure.
I just wanted to add, like, I feel like you can be an amazing, strong competitor and be nice and supportive at the same time.
Yeah.
Like she was like, why are you being so nice? Like you can be extremely nice and have good sportsmanship and be like, you're a wonderful person. I hope you go down, and I hope I never see you again in this competition.
Yeah.
But be like
No, I
perfectly.
totally agree. That's even for Patrick, he was so incredibly kind in the city too. Like that's the thing too, is like, and you can see like after watching the footage, like
Yes.
he locks in when he needs to, because at
Yeah.
the end of the day, he's a professional, he's a firefighter. So
Oh
like
yeah.
like there's a
He deserves
totally
credit.
different scenario.
Yeah.
And so he was someone I even like looked up to out of the people on the strong team because I was like, you can be like that's what makes you more intimidating in my opinion. The people who are strong and like trying to be pushy in your face don't intimidate me. It's the people who
Hmm.
like kill with kindness, and you don't know what to expect. Like what do they look like when they are angry, when they are at their full
Right.
potential? And for me, like that was Patrick. So like that's exactly how I wanted to be too. And so like getting to see him, but also so incredibly sad to see him go out too was like heartbreaking because I was
Yeah.
like he had great sportsmanship.
Yeah. He was awesome. Sorry to take over, but Patrick was awesome. It was the most heartbreaking thing till I legit thought he made it. I was so like, I'm blacking out. I have to lock in and focus that I didn't even think for a minute. I thought maybe Akira would maybe take a shot at him if everyone was going to go for me. But like, I knew Patrick was going to be fine, and I didn't even see him get out next to me. So I turned around and I was like, we did it. And he was like, I'm out. And my heart,
Oh,
like, I just got goosebumps thinking about it. My heart sank because he was somebody who, before the game, looked at me and, like, he was like, we kind of, same thing. Like, he's somebody who's super nice, and we talked in the city, and, like, I love Patrick to death. He's an awesome human being. Wish he would have gotten more screen time for everyone to see how amazing he is because he's just
really?
incredible. But he turned to me before the game and kind of looked at me like, I don't care what happens, you're getting through this. Don't you dare let them take anything from you. Don't you let them take this experience from you because I know you can make it. But like we didn't speak
Wow.
about it really. And I kind of looked at him, so when I went up and fist bumped him, it was my acknowledgement of like I see you and you see me, and like regardless of what this means, we're getting through this. So I am really glad, like you say, that we did have people who are willing to compete and still be grounded and humble and yourself and like make it a fair fight and a fair game, but also like a good game. Like all of us we just want to play and we want to. It's the opportunity of a lifetime, and it was really special to see people actually be able to lock in, like you're saying, and be fair competitors. And you can make your jabs here and there, whatever, like make a dig. That's fine. That's part of it. But like you said, I wasn't intimidated at all these people walking in, the strongest people alive and whatever. Like, I'm, this is, I just want to play, and like who you are as a person is more important to me. So I totally agree with that point, Asia. And I think that's something that does not get seen very much through the edit because of how they paint the smart people to be like these feeble little, I can't do anything and I'm very internalized, and the strong people to be like in your face, whatever. And all of us had way more depth than that. So I totally agree. I'm really glad you brought that up.
Asia, before we jump over to Bluff, I have to address this because I have thoughts. So, upon your elimination, she's like really excited and saying, "Are you gonna watch me on TV?" And then your response back, "Yeah, girl, I'll watch you on TV." I just am sitting watching on screen going, what the hell? There's no way I'm saying to someone, watch me on TV, I made it through. And then your response back, yeah, I'll watch you on TV. Can you talk about your mindset? Because
It was
that was the
hilarious.
moment where I just like jumped out of my seat going, holy shit, you're gonna say to someone, you gotta watch me now.
Yeah, that was maybe call it like okay, our heightened emotions and like I take things at face value. So like we did have like a really sentimental moment because like they came out to us and it ultimately they were like, "Oh my God, the gym rat beat the scientist." And I was like, "Oh, you're calling her a gym rat?" Like I was like so offended for her too because I was like, I don't know, that seems aggressive, but like I knew it was going to make that storyline because I was the last smart person in the room. So like seeing that happen that way, I was like, yeah, of course it makes sense. So there was like a whole spiel where we talked it out and whatever. And when she had won, obviously, like I was just like, no, I said like, and my comment did make it into the edit as she's walking away, and I said I asked for a good competitor, and I got one, and I truly still stand by that comment. So, and that's why I told the cameras, I was like, yeah, I got a great competitor. Like, look at like obviously like she made it through, so like I'm just glad I got to play the game all the way to completion because that means that we both were good competitors. And so like we had hugged it out and stuff like that. So it was like a real deep hug. It wasn't like one of those like side hugs. It was a real hug. And I was just like, I kept telling her, I was like, go enjoy the city, go enjoy the city. And I don't know if it was how it was edited or maybe I missed it in person because again, everything's just so heightened in that moment. Um, she didn't say, watch me like play on the games. It was just like, watch me. And I think it was a comment on like, oh, go and enjoy the city. And she said, watch me. And I interpreted it as like, oh, she's gonna like, like keep watching me on TV. So I was just like, yeah, girl, I'll watch you on TV. Like that's what I that's what I thought she had meant. So I was like, yeah, I'll watch you on TV. Yeah, like sure. And I'm shocked that that made it to the edit because like I think that was just a general misunderstanding. I think that was like meant to be a I think it was meant to be intimidating, but I was like, yeah, I watch TV. I'll probably watch the show.
Like Asia's like, yeah, I'm gonna watch. Like you'll also see me on TV. We're both
Yeah.
in the show.
Yeah,
So she didn't mean it by watching on TV. She just said, watch me, and talking in the sense of going to the city. So it had nothing to do with, yeah, you're going to watch me on television, right?
Yeah,
so
I
then
think,
so
yeah.
then as a viewer, then I misunderstood. And see, this is the clarification that I need, because I'm sitting there saying, that is some balls to say that to someone after you eliminated them. Watch me on TV.
Well, it's also I think that's where you could hear a little confusion in my voice, and it was like, well, yeah, I'm gonna watch the show. Like, like, I'm in it, and like my friends are in it. Like, it was, maybe it was because I was still tired, but like literally, I was just like, yeah, let's watch it.
I
So
feel better
I'm
feel better now knowing exactly what it was, because other people thought the same thing that I did watching it.
regardless, you ate.
yeah,
Like that was iconic. That will live rent free in my head for the rest of my life.
Oh, hilarious. No, I just, of the things that made it to the edit, I'm always like, I'm surprised that that did and not my. I made another comment, may I add, that literally there was another time that we had a heart to heart like halfway through the competition, because like again, there was a lot of eyes on us because we were smart versus strong in our little bubble. And I mentioned again too, they were like, how do you feel going against someone like this? Like, a lot of stuff. And I like said a whole bunch of positive stuff about her because I meant it. And again, sportsmanship. I was like, yeah, like, why would I trash talk my competitor right now? I want to intimidate her. So like, if I'm killing with kindness, she doesn't know anything about me. So like, if I go in leading with all this intimidation and trash talk, like that just fuels her even more. So I said all this positive stuff, and again, 100% meant it. And she like literally like put her hand over her chest and she said, "Oh my God, my heart." And I said, "Can I break it?" That's good TV. And it didn't make it into the edit. And even if I lost, like that still would have been a hilarious like quip, in my personal opinion. I'm telling you, I was hilarious. I was quick with it. So there was just so many moments that were like, okay, that made it in, but this one didn't. Interesting. So that's my last bit about it.
It was good TV regardless,
Oh,
but that's what I'm saying. But people have comments about it because we don't know necessarily what happened. So we're seeing the bit thinking one way, and then the bit is a different way, actually.
that's hilarious. I honestly, it's really refreshing to hear your thoughts because obviously my friends and family have watched it and they view it as differently because knowing me as a person, they know how my personality is. So they were like, girl. And I was like, what? Like, I don't understand. And so, like, hearing it from someone like you being like completely unbiased to me, not knowing who I am before this, like what was that? And I'm like, oh shoot, this is how it's being viewed by people. Like completely went over my head, like entirely. So I appreciate you telling me because I was like, oh, I didn't think about it that way.
All right, Sasha, I'm ready for this. I'm coming to you next. We're hitting bluff.
Bluff. Bluff was such an amazing experience. The worst part, what's happened to me, and I was like, smart girl, made the stupidest mistake, nominate myself by myself. I had the craziest headache in my life. That morning, I woke up, I couldn't even walk. The headache was so strong. There was some storm around that area where we've been filming, and I'm really sensitive when the weather is changing, but nothing like that. I never experienced that crazy headache. I took in maybe 6 hours over 18 pills. The doctors gave me everything that they had that I could like. I didn't uh I couldn't focus, I couldn't think, I couldn't walk. I was glad that on there when we finally started to film it, I could stand up and walk there. I was so bad. But if we are talking about the games, I think when they like brought those crazy something put behind our head, and we need to tell everyone like what colors, and you need to match that circle with your color. I think from that point, everyone decided that they will never lie to each other, because if you will lie, immediately you will be eliminated in the next round, because other people will see that you can play not the honor game, that you can lie to everyone. Everyone expected that it will be something like cases where you just need to read other person and that's it, and you need like go by one, and in these games everyone felt like more comfortable to like because it's like your chance, right? Uh this is the, I don't know, like green ticket for you to go back to the city. Are you trust me? And like, yeah, pick this. It's more like everyone expected to see that game instead of what we got. And I don't know how many times we did that circle, um, hours maybe, when the first Kareem was eliminated because they started to cut out the time. It was like 60 second. I don't know how many times we did rounds with 60 seconds. We're like, guys, when we planned these games, you suppose like, and we played it out, it worked out. Right now it's not working. Please play the game. And no one like no one lying there. Everyone been like were so supportive. Like they say the real colors. I don't know how Kareem ended up in that situation. I think like no one just speak with him. I don't know because Luis was like super active with his story about the love, his wife, and he wanted that like redemption moment. He wants like to let Kareem down, and it was like between the rounds, it was that story over and over again. And he was eliminated the first one, and then my stupid headache got me. And I'm like, what color? They like red or blue. I don't remember already. Like, yeah, I see my color. I'll run through the colors. It was like the stupidest mistake I've ever made, but I was glad that I made that mistake because everyone who was on the game, we've been competing for some money. And while I was 2 weeks and a half during this filming process, like I have business and my business been like working. When I got back right on time. It was almost the moment when I will lost my business. During those 2.5 weeks, I lost close to $1 million. If I will stay longer, few more weeks, I might lose my business totally. It was disaster without me. And I was like right on time to rebuild it. I lost my manufacturer partners. I lost my store in Hawaii. And I ended up in debt, like $1 million debt. And but during that time I've been working like nonstop till December to rebuild everything. And I don't know what would happen if I will stay longer in the game. And I'm like, okay, it's interesting story. Instead of like bringing money, I lost a lot of money. But I'm really glad that I get this a chance, that I have this experience. It also like the friendship that we got, the structure. It's like you've been put in some different like word. I would say it's literally the word. Someone built it for you, you participated. It was a really great experience. I'm not regret anything, but everything happens for a reason. And if like I would go further, whatever, if it will be some competition, I don't know how, what we will see next. If someone will need to sacrifice for someone, it would be me. It was like my goal, because I know that maybe someone needed to have this like money more than me. Of course, everyone needed it's like life-changing amount of money, but I spoke with myself, well, like if someone will need this chance, if someone will ask me to give my place to someone else, I would do it for other people 100%. My plan was never take any bribes, and if I will need to sacrifice, I will do it for other people, specifically for my smart girls. Yes.
That was a tough game, though, if you think about it in this sense, because as you brought up, if you screw somebody over, the next round they're just going to screw you over and you're going to be eliminated in yourself. So I don't think anyone could have done anything different in that game to change the outcome for them than having to go with chance.
This is how they ended up starting to pull out just the names. It was the heartbreaking moment for everyone because no one wanna lie. This running couldn't go further for a few more hours because it's like ended up in the same situation, and they started to pull out the names and everyone was so sad. But I've been watching like other people who've been eliminated. Everyone were so sad because it's like the chance again. But Jimmy said, like, you guys chose bluff, but you're rejecting to lie each other. This is only way how we can end this game. It was interesting experience because everyone expected something different. Everyone expected cases where you can read others and it will be one by one competing with each other. Then the group of people where you need to lie publicly to everyone. And of course, you'll be cut out. Even if you will go further, they will remember that you lied to other people.
Go ahead, Hannah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with everything you're saying. Like, it definitely is, I think, kind of a broken game, as you said, because if you have just one alliance member that wants to work with you, you can always be honest with each other, and then there's no incentive to lie. I mean, so like I think about game design a lot since I like working on video games and like run my own like social strategy games for friends. Like, I guess one strategy could be if you went in with a big group and alliance, just say like, if you're in the majority, hey, we're only going to talk to each other and not talk to anybody else. But that's also like, it's hard. We've all been there for a long time getting to know each other. Like, I think it's really easy to watch from the comfort of your couch and say like, just lie, you just met these people, but it doesn't feel good. It's really, really hard in these games to betray people you've been like living with and you're friends with for all this time. And also, as you said, like worst case, you lie to somebody immediately the next round, they're going to be like, all right, you lied. It's easy just to be like, okay, I don't want this person in the city with me.
And at the same time, any alliance, they will not work there because they change our locations every time. They like got that. Like we agreed with JC, like, I will never lie to you. Sasha, I will never lie to you too. And we're trying to be together. They started to separate us, mixing us, that like you need to speak with other people. And after that, of course, you will not lie to anyone. Specifically, if you will lie to someone else's body, his body will kick your ass next round.
I feel like the rounds looked like they went so fast too that like after a while it would be so stressful if you're separate from your buddies. Like, first of all, you can't run across the colors, but you have to like find somebody that you trust and like quickly like your color, my color, let's go, because you don't have a lot of time. So that looked like it was a stressful component too.
And the timing was like 20 seconds, 50 seconds. It was less and less timing, and it's become just like running game.
Absolutely. That one looked like a really difficult one to play for sure. Just simply because, as you said here, I know people are saying in the comments, what are these people doing? Why are they not lying? Why are they letting themselves go home by chance? But you really don't have an option because, as y'all said, if you screw over somebody else, that means you're screwing someone else's friend that's still in the game. And guess what? Next round, you're probably cooked too. So it's really, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, because I wouldn't want to go home from chance. But at the same time, if I go in line and eliminate somebody else, they're not going to tell me my color next time.
But at the same time, everyone remember the previous season and the poor Kareem guy, and he was in our team, and everyone remember like then they are trying to play the game, and it was tough game, but no one wanted to end up in the same situation. Like looks bad on TV, and you're trying to lie like someone, and like you are a liar. It means in real life you are the same because. And I'm glad that like a lot of my girls moved forward whom I liked. It was JC, she moved forward. It was oh my gosh, whom I played with? Chandler, she moved forward. Yeah. And who else? I don't know. Jim, 100% he moved forward. And I was surprised that Taylor, Eric, they also choose bluff. I was like, you guys such a strong group. Strongest one in the room. Why? What are you doing here? It was interesting. Yeah.
Hannah, did you have something to add?
Yeah, but I lost it because I was laughing at what she said. Who knows?
All right, we're circling back. I'm reining it all in here, and we are going to transition to the very last game, which is blocks. I know Hannah and I did get into this game a ton with Jesse, and that is over on the episode 1 recap, basically episode 2 recap as well. So if people want to get a more deeper dive into that, definitely check out that first podcast because we do talk about it there. However, I do want thoughts from everybody else here, what they thought of the game.
especially I say, Emily, you were there and you watched it from the sidelines.
Girl, I will never forget watching that with my own eyes. Literally, we could talk about it. I'll let you go first and do your thing, but I was so locked in. I felt like an NFL coach on the sideline, just like screaming, watching. It was the craziest thing ever. Go ahead, Hannah.
Yeah, I mean, as Lauren said, we like discussed it on the other podcast. Like I was on the yellow team and Jesse was on the pink team, so we kind of already like got into it. But you know, I just want to like hype up again that like I know Sasha, you had said like, you know, it's like you wanted to do something individual so that you didn't like accidentally get on the wrong team. And I just like wanted to say again that I saw how the teams were getting formed and I immediately thought like yellow team is like has it. I just like could feel it. I just thought from the people, the energy.
Really?
I truly believe yellow team had it. So I immediately stepped up and like asked Corey to pick me. And then I didn't mention this on the other podcast. Like it's all coming back now. Like we had this little chant where we all like had our arms around each other, like all 20 of us started chanting like, we believe that we will win. We believe that we will win. And it was like over and over and it got like louder and louder. And like I feel like Emily, you had said afterwards, you were like, after I heard that, I knew that winning.
You didn't even have to play the game. Yeah. It was, that is something that I wish would have made the air time because, like, while both teams were super strong and they had their own sets of, like, unique abilities, it was so clear. Even though a lot of people on the yellow team, I feel like it wasn't like it was like a big alliance on the yellow team. Like, all the OGs had known each other from previous experience on the pink team, but for you guys, you had, like, people who were in, like, little groups of friends, but it wasn't like the entire team was, like, one unit yet. But the fact that you guys stood together and you're like, I believe. Watching that, I'm sitting in the stands, I'm like, I believe. Like, we will win. I'm not even playing. Like, it was just the coolest thing to see that. And you guys, like, everybody around you knew that you all believed in yourselves, and that's really all you needed. It was just like that foundation that you had before actually beginning the game that really set the tone for how you were going to work together and communicate, how your leadership was going to run everything, like Corey being the captain and people breaking up into groups and strategizing how you're actually going to build and construct everything. Maybe I was biased too because I was sitting on your guys' side, but like we had walked around at some point and saw like the towers. I don't think people understand how neck and neck the towers were the entire time, and a lot of people think it was like fake for TV that like Jonny jumped when he shouldn't have and maybe he was egged on, but like they just cut it so it looked like it was the same. They legit were like at the same height back and forth the entire time, and it was really it was a big nail biter. So go ahead, Hannah, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I just wanted to emphasize like that team moment was so significant for you guys, and it was something I remember thinking how cool it was, but then strategically I was like, that is a group of 20 people who are never going to break from each other after this moment, because what they're about to do, if they can pull this off, is going to bond them forever. So it was really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like it was really like, as you said, there was all these different groups who hadn't worked together, but we immediately like locked in together, and like with 20 people, like everyone, we literally gave everybody roles. Like Corey and Sue were tying, like me, Jordan, the other Katie, Trina, probably like Michelle. We were like working on the design. There were people holding space. There were people running, and like Colby and Mitch.
You had the spotters.
Yeah,
everybody had a job. It was crazy.
Yeah, like I feel like in the edit, obviously, again, I know they don't have time for everything, so I totally get it. But like we were like a well-oiled machine where we had like everyone had a role. We had a whole system. When it fell a few times, we like stepped back. We had pieces of paper where we could redesign. At one point, like me and the other like smart people on the team actually went and got all our pieces and lined them up in the order that we wanted to raise them, because up until that point, we were just like sending them up as fast as possible, and then they just kept falling. Like both teams fell multiple times. So we just, I think, realized, okay, we need to slow down and actually have a clear plan. Like in the episode when you see, I think Mitch at the top, he's like, these blocks are uneven. Is that intentional? And we were like, no, that is not intentional. And that's from us rushing. And like, I think there's multiple ways you could do this. You could play this as a game of speed and strength or a game of strategy. And I think it started out as a game of speed and strength. And that is how Mitch and Colby were like absolutely amazing beasts that like they were like tirelessly working for hours and doing things that like I absolutely could not do. But we could have also slowed down and probably built the tower one time correctly, taken more time, and like theoretically not have needed someone as strong. Because if you're only going to lift those blocks one time, like somebody else could have been able to lift. So it's like, but in the panic, you're just like, we have to just keep sending them up. It's a race. It's a race.
Yeah, you're all running around with your little helmets on. It was the funniest thing, like little ants. We were sitting in the stands on the top level where I was, and it was like the cutest thing watching everyone run around and do their thing, but also keep the same energy of like, you don't know what materials you're going to get. It depended on your runners and like how many blocks you were going to get. It was like however many you could fit in that time until there was none left was all that you got. So it's not like everybody had the same materials to build the same tower, but that was also a choice, and that was part of the strategy of the game, which I thought was really interesting to watch from the sideline. Also, just watching people like Twana just hurl that big block over her shoulder when they're like waterlogged. It had been raining for so long. Like watching all of everybody who went up on either tower, like the amount of athleticism that took, not even necessarily athleticism, but just strength and like determination to stay up there when it's like wobbling and you have to pull with just one little rope and feed it around like randomly sized little shapes and things. It was super impressive for everybody, and I just remember like it was like watching tennis. I was like, look at the pink team, look at the yellow team, look at the pink team, because it was just so neck and neck the entire time. And I remember your guys' strategy, even just your communication, like you said with Colby saying like being brave enough to be like, listen, if we want to win this, I have to switch out and I have to let somebody else take the opportunity to do that, but I can still help on the ground.
Yeah.
And Mitch being willing to step up and do that for you guys was really, really cool to see. And talking to you, like, you guys were like, train tracks, hashtags, like saying, I will never forget hearing you all yell at each other, and it was like telephone, but nobody missed a beat. And it was like from the whiteboard all the way up to the tower. And it was super impressive to see how you guys worked as a unit and like put all of your smart versus strong aside. And it was like, there are 20 of us or however many it was, and we have to survive this. And like, no is not an option. Like seeing even JC, I have never seen so much fight until we get to the next episode in that man. Like people are anxious and nervous about him just because of his story from the previous season, but like he showed up to play, he showed up to be a team player, and he was right in the mix with all of you, and everybody accepted him immediately. And it was really interesting to watch that for your team. Same way on the pink team, like using the OG's experience to try and help craft what they needed on the other side. But it was definitely a nail biter. And I just remember like, I don't think I blinked for like the 12 hours you guys were doing this competition for, because literally the sun
And
came
how
up.
many hours this
Yeah.
game was filming? How many hours? It was like 5, 10.
I mean, we started when it was pitch blackout, so probably 11 or midnight or something. And then when you see, it's like bright. It's not like the sun's coming up. It's like 10 a.m. or
Yeah.
The birds start chirping at like 4 a.m. and you're like, the sun is about to rise, and you guys are still like hashtag train track, square, circle, like screaming at each other, just still in it the whole time. And I was like, this is so impressive. I don't know if I could do this. Like and part of me was like, this looks really fun. Again, not for $5 million. Like this would be fun to do without that stress. But you guys took it on the chin, and you just like kept going. Whenever you fell, it was like, just I'm not quitting. And it was that I believe that we will win the entire time that I didn't really see on the pink team. And I think their communication was not as coherent as your guys, which may have been their downfall. And a lot of people forget how imperative that is to having a good functional team. So really, really enjoyed watching that. It was, and all my friends like are on that team. All my friends who are left, like my smart girls, for the most part. I had people who I was friends with on both teams, but like I was super close with you and Katie and Sue, and like I am on the edge of my seat, like I'm like this the whole time. I'm like basically biting my nails. Like whenever you guys fell, I was like, they better get it together because I'm gonna be in the dorm by myself, basically, if I don't get my friends back in this. But then you're watching your other friends on the other side, and it's like, who do you want to root for? Because there are strong people on both sides that you want to play the game with, but this is a big point for a large scale elimination, which was one of the first ones that we saw in the show. So that was really interesting.
Yeah, and
I have a question. When
no, go ahead.
When you've been preparing for this challenge, did you have any ideas what kind of blocks it will be? Did you guess what was like? Did you guys predict something? Did you expect that it will be like that?
I mean, when we looked at the little thing and we chose the challenge, I did not think it was going to be like that. I mean, it literally showed it what it was on the ground. It literally had like these like wobbling blocks that were swaying and like a flag at the top. So like they told us what it was through the pictures, just like the balance kind of. But I think I too assumed it was going to be an individual game where we stack our own blocks and it has to do with like how steady your hands are. So I know that a lot of people want an individual game to take the game into their own hands, but I feel like my strength is communication and teamwork. And like, I don't have a big ego at all. Like, I don't need to be the right voice or the loudest voice. I just need the team to win. So I was actually excited to see that it was a team game, because I was like, I will do whatever we can. I don't care. Like, I will stand anywhere. Like the whole time I was just like running around watching. Like, as you said, like we don't know what materials we'll have. Like I just stood on the side and told the people running, like, okay, I think you should get that block next, that block next. If somebody was like, I disagree, Hannah, I'd be like, okay, that's fine. Get that block instead. I don't care. I don't need to be right. Let's just survive and get like back to the city. I don't care. Like, I don't care if I'm like, I don't think I'm ever even on screen. Like my friends are like, Hannah, what team were you on? Like, I guess you weren't like,
You're too fast.
I've never
couldn't
seen
catch you on camera.
And I was just going to add, like, even the people on the side were like shouting things out, sometimes helpful things and sometimes not helpful things. But like, it was very helpful when certain people would shout out, like, you're leaning to the right, you're leaning to the left, like, yellow team, you need to pick it up. Pink is getting ahead. Or I'm sure on the other side, people were cheering for pink and like, you know, the other team is switching out. Maybe y'all should think about switching out. So like that also added like a whole other aspect, because it's like people are watching and cheering and screaming, and you also hear people cheering like against you, not against me specifically, but I hear people being like, let's go pink, and I'm like, no, like, against our team, no, please.
I love that they let them watch, though. I think that made it really interesting because you get to see the competition unfold, and you're over there on the sidelines, Emily. I'm breathing. I'm good. I'm chilling. I'm just watching what's going down here. But as you said, Hannah, some people do thrive in the team aspect of it all, and that's where you see the communication skills go to work, because if y'all are not all on the same page, it really can go downhill super quickly. And I know people want as well it to be in your own hands of your elimination, but even in the sense when you aren't on a team, it is in your own hands, because if you don't rally everyone together, like you were part of that, not making it happen. And that type of challenge was just epic in general.
Yeah, no, I mean, I hear you. I mean, you don't have complete control, obviously, but you have control to, A, as I did, choose what team I wanted to go on. And be like, even after that, we would yell at Corey, pick this person, pick that person. So we had some say in who was going to get chosen to be on our team. And then finally, like, all rallying together. Like, we did have good communication at the end of the challenge. I think at the beginning and the end, but in the middle, everything kind of fell apart. We ended up with mismatched blocks. So at some point, a bunch of us, like smart team people, were like, y'all, this is not working. We are taking control. These are the blocks, and this is what we're doing. And I think everyone just fell into place doing like what their sort of roles were. We concentrated on that. Like Mitch and Colby and everyone else who was like incredibly strong, they were like, got it. We are going to lift anything you give us. We were just going to do what you say. And like, I don't think we could have done it without them. I think if we just continued to send up random blocks, I don't think we would have won. So it like truly was a team thing.
And I think you might agree, but as engineers, it was really satisfying to watch that challenge unfold, and to like, it was just the biggest life-size puzzle ever. But also the pieces were you guys, like how you were going to communicate and what you were going to do and who was paying attention and when you knew enough was enough to like switch people out or things like that. And I really enjoyed watching it. And I remember when we walked into like the stadium area where the sand pit was, before you guys had come through the portal, and we saw all the blocks and we saw the flag, immediately my head was flashing to the like LED screen, and I was like, they're playing with legit blocks. Like this is going to be like a real thing. Because we're all thinking it's going to be like more block memorization or stacking or whatever. And when you guys came through, we had that reaction, and then we watched your reactions, and all of you just kind of like hunkered down and were like, this is how we're going to solve this puzzle. And I loved that it was a chance for the smart team to show that like you don't have to be the smartest person in the room to do something, but you can help orchestrate what was going on. Because a lot of people in the stands, I was getting a little frustrated. There were people that were like, why isn't the strong team just like hurling blocks and going faster? And I'm like, do you understand that he's like 40 feet in the air? And I don't know how tall he was, but he's like 40 feet in the air and he's lifting like a, I don't know, these blocks in my head are like 30 pounds and like that over and over again, but like long distance and whatever with the water in them, and they were probably heavier. I was like, there are so many moving pieces that like you don't have to be the strongest person in the room or the smartest person in the room to figure it out. But like as an engineer, I wonder for you if it was also really satisfying to like solve that puzzle, because I was enjoying watching it and solving it in my own head. Like this is how I would have done it if I were playing with the team because it would have been fun. But like I wonder for you if you had a similar experience with your like engineering brain.
Yeah, for sure. I think it like was a fun, interesting puzzle. Like as you said, like I had fun doing that challenge.
Yeah.
It just was also challenging, as you said, when you don't know the materials at the beginning, it's hard to plan when you don't know what you're getting. And maybe if we'd had all our pieces at the start, we would have known the best order to send them up. Yeah. So yeah.
I would love to watch 12 hours of that game.
Same.
The full.
Same. I want the uncut.
I would love to watch it.
Well, and then the
With
other
all the struggles, screaming, and everything.
Yeah. So chaotic. I want it played with like circus music in the background because I'm sure that's what it felt like for you. Watching everything.
Well, and the other crazy thing is like you watched us either end up going to the city or getting eliminated, but we also came in and saw you all there. We didn't know you all would be there. And so then we were all looking around and be like, wait, this person's in the city. Wait, who's not here? And like I was friends with both of you, like Asia and Sasha, and I was like, no, it's like, where's Asia? Where's Sasha? I'm sure there was other people like who, like, I can't remember now, like who I was friends with, or I was like, no, where is this person?
I remember you asking, like, from the sand pit, you were like, where are they? And I was like, and we both were like, but I was like, you better lock in right now. We'll talk about it later when you make it.
Not like the war buddies. Oh my god.
People kept and everybody started realizing, because you're talking about it. I know Trina and Sue were talking about it, and then you could see your team all kind of like, oh, where's my friend? Where's my friend? And I'm like, don't worry about it. Play your game. Focus on something else.
Could you have imagined, say Jim or Monica picked to do the block challenge and they're looking over on the sideline and the other one's not there before having to go do that challenge? Could you imagine?
Their reunion when we all got back was like actually the cutest thing. Like I know there's a lot of comments online about like the show was only on for like 2 hours. How did they end up together? But you forget that you're spending so much time together, and like you don't have a phone, you don't have anything. You are like super connected, and they were both they like, God forbid two people like enjoy another person's presence. Like everyone else is friends. Why is what they do a crime? You know? So it was actually really cute watching them come back to each other, but they were super stressed. Like I know Monica was in the city first before he came back, and like she was stressed about it, and now watching the show back, he was like, if I don't make it back, she's gonna kill me. And like even there were people who were friends who were on separate sides of the block game, and they like in between things they'd be like, one of us is not returning. And it was just sad for everybody's relationships to see like how split up you ended up being, and it was like a big turning point in the game for your friendship over how you were going to take control of your game and like what you had to do to survive. So definitely super interesting. I agree with you there.
Yeah, I mean, there were people on the other side that I didn't want to get eliminated, but I'm like, oh, on opposite teams, I don't want to get eliminated either. And I wanted to like advocate for Corey, say like, pick this person, pick that person. Yeah. But I didn't feel like I had the social capital to really advocate. I had already spent I felt like all my social capital to get myself there, and I was like, I don't know if I can, if I have any more push. Like, I don't know if people will listen to me anymore after I did the big push for myself.
And interesting, you mentioned that when you're sitting on the couch at home and watching the game, this person just for a few weeks why you're so into that person. But when you are actually in the game, right, it's different experience in such a short period of time because you're living in the different dimension. You become the friends. I think for the lifetime right now in such a short period of time, and you and the same psychotherapy and psychology, when you are going through this stressful situation with someone, the connection becomes 100 times stronger. and we've been challenged every day, even the waiting time, everything. We became such a besties, and this is why we like on the TV, like it's just second episode, guys. What are you talking about? Like, no, even this just went through one challenge, the blocks in the first episode, it's already like bestie forever. Because your body, like your hormone system and everything, reacts differently when you become the friends during the stress situation. And we like being under the camera 24/7 is also for a lot of people stressful situation. All the environment it's stress because you've been put from your normal life to unknown reality. And this is why we're literally helping each other, supporting each other. We feels like it's my mom, like my sister. I will never lie to that person.
Yeah, I was just gonna add too
And
that
I'm so glad
keep
you're here.
yeah, the 24 hours that we had in the city, um, keep in mind too, it was oh nice. That's
How
so
did you do
cool.
that?
Is it just work for Hannah? Hannah, do it again.
Do it again. Do it again.
Well,
Wow.
there it is.
Cute. Yeah, the 24 hours that we got in the city, was spent every millisecond of that was spent together. Like it was uninterrupted 24/7. Whereas like I don't even see my friends in real life that many hours throughout a week. Like, you know what I mean? So like to spend 24 pure hours together is like something that people don't even do on a daily basis too. So like you're sleeping next to one another, you're brushing your teeth, you're waiting for the bathroom, like you're living and breathing all the same air. Like it's such an intimate space, and for people to not anticipate relationships, both romantic and friendships, to not happen is crazy. But of course, again, like things get edited down. But I was just like that was another pinnacle point too as to why we bonded so closely. And I could respect people making those relationships was like, shoot, like 24 hours is a lot, especially when we don't have those resources like our phones. Like you had to be social.
Yeah, I also think for us on the smart team, and maybe it's just because of how our brains work a little bit differently, we're more reserved naturally, most of us, at least the girls I noticed were. And like, I know like this group, we spent a lot of time just like sitting in the dorm, chilling and hanging out because it was hot outside, whatever. We like made it all nice and cool. And like,
Oh, you
I will
didn't want to
never
jump in
forget
the
like,
little pool? You didn't want to jump?
I
No,
only get
from
one
the
pair of
safety
clothes a day.
perspective,
Yeah, no, the pools are really cool. If it were a little bit nicer out, and I thought about it, but I was like, I would rather just like sit in bed and like gossip with the girlies at a little sleepover for however long I will get this for. But for us, I know like the four of us, we spent a lot of time in the dorm together, and like Asia, I'll never forget sitting up on your little ledge in the dark with everybody. We're like kicking our feet, we're watching the rainstorm, we're all sharing stories from home and like our families and our friends, and like that's stuff that you don't get to see, but for some reason, this environment, probably the stress, puts you in such a place where you're able to be so vulnerable with strangers because all of you kind
Yeah.
of recognize you are going through this for the first time together, and like not many of us are used to being on camera, like you're saying, or used to being constantly scrutinized or worried about what you're going to say, wearing a microphone all the time, like thinking about how uncomfortable it can be to not have your own personal like decompress time all by yourself, because there really wasn't spaces to do that. Like the game, even though you're not in the challenge, the game goes on and you're socializing, you're strategizing, and like I personally was tired of hearing the word strategy, so like I would retreat to the dorm. But then there were other folks like us who I'd noticed would do the same thing, and like we would just talk about life and our family and like dreams and aspirations, and it felt like being a little kid again, truly. And it was just like the most sleepover fun time ever. And you go outside. Like I know Asia and I were in the science lab a lot, and we're just poking around. I remember the first night sitting with Asia and Sasha on the front lawn while everyone's like making teams of 10 for some reason, and we're just like drinking Starbucks like unbothered. We were like, whatever, like if this be my last 24 hours in the city, I'm gonna enjoy every moment of it. So like you just don't know what's gonna happen, but sticking with the people that you felt like similar vibes and thoughts with, it was really really cool and special, and you get to learn and meet so many people in such a short amount of time, and just share, like I was sharing things I don't even know if I've told some of my close friends here, that like you just are in an environment that it brings that out of you, and I thought that was really special for all of us.
Mhm.
yes.
All right. Last
I love
question.
you so much. I missed you.
Miss you guys.
Last question for all of you. It's going to be a quick one. I want to know your favorite and least favorite part about the city.
My least favorite part of being in the city was that we didn't have any music. And like music is a big, big part of my life. And I'm listening to music 24/7, like at work or in my car or whatever. And I just, maybe that's more of a personal thing, but like anytime I would hear like a little bit of music from somewhere, I would be like, where is that coming from? Almost like a crazy person flocking to that area because I just missed it so heavily. Because you have conversations all day and you listen to other people and I don't know, it's just not the same. But I think my favorite part of the city was just for the first time in such a long time being able to just fully unplug and just even if I wasn't doing anything, even if I was just sitting like staring at the wall or sitting staring in our dorm or out on the lawn or by the pool or whatever, it was just like actual forcing us to get off of our phones and get out of my head. I didn't have to think about work. I didn't have to think about all the stressors of my life. Like you're thinking about that naturally, but like forcing myself to just be present with other people and go outside of my comfort zone and meet new friends. I think that was probably the best part for me. So yeah.
Sasha?
I think being a chef, to be honest, when you are business owner and you under the stress 24/7, everyone calling you and blah 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 blah, being in the big city and being in the competition without any connection to the real world, I've been enjoying every moment being by myself without worrying about what's going on there because like I decided for myself like I will enjoy everything. And how they build the city, how they care about us, to be honest. I've been appreciating every moment being there. Everything we have like games to play. We can do like some kind of sport activities. Anything that you could imagine we had there, right? And 24/7 Starbucks. Oh my goodness me. It
Big
was
Papa
such a good
clock
part.
every
And
hour on the hour.
yeah. And but the best part that of course it was like conversation with girls. I felt so supportive, and we could share the stories, and was really appreciating that like my girls wasn't like I would say strong team. They like, what's your strategy, whom you pair, like did you choose your 10 group of people, like what the hell is going on, do we need to be in group of 10, what's happening. We've been like in our like bubble, chilling bubble, I would say. We did meditations, we did yoga, morning walks, coffee, everything, talks about our lives, of course. And my question was like, how can I strategize something? And I have no idea what will be the next challenge, and no one can predict it because the most brilliant brains in the world made it for us. How I'm as one person, or we as a group of people who never did some TV shows, can think what Jimmy made for us. Like, better do not stress and like relax and enjoy the time there. I enjoyed everything, and especially the cast that they made for the show. It's like my lifetime friends right now. This is like the big thank you to Jimmy and the casting guys who made it. Like, I love these girls from the bottom of my heart. I think they're like pure talent. The like best people I could ever met. It's like they were there, and this is like what I will bring with me my entire life. I love you.
I can. Oh, so I can add. I gotta say, my favorite thing, piggyback off of like exactly what Sasha said. It's like the physical part of the city built a true community for sure. So all the amenities were like awesome to have accessible, especially for someone who lives on their phone as well. It was truly one of those moments where I was so completely from it, and there was like moments I caught myself like having such a pure moment with my girls, like when we were all doing yoga together, when we were having conversations by the portal, like things like that. There was moments where I was like, oh my god, I would reach for my phone to take a picture, and I was like, wait, I can't do that. And like I had to actually like kill that mindset because I was like, oh my gosh, like sit here and just enjoy it for a second. And like, maybe this moment won't exist later on and you can't reflect on it, but like you have your memory and like that's something still just as precious. So having an environment where you could build like moments and things like that, also coming from a place where all those amenities are not easily accessible. I also found myself eating better too because like it wasn't out of opportunistic parts. It was like eating when I was actually hungry, eating when I actually needed the fuel. Like really just listening to my body more and listening to people around me was like super refreshing. So it was truly like a reset being in that city. And no, I can't take any of that for granted because it just really built a beautiful community, truly. Even with the people that maybe you didn't get along with, it still gave you the ability to like move away from that if you didn't want to talk strategy, which I never wanted to because same mindset too was like it was just there was nothing we could do. I was like in those 24 hours I want to enjoy myself. I may not have this in the future, so I wanted to enjoy it. I will say you also asked what was the worst part of the city, and I'm ready for my answer on that one.
I'm ready.
Let me just add the heat. It was so hot, and I flew in from Alaska. So I left 40-degree Fahrenheit to come in 80 to 90 like on most days with humidity. I also come from a dry climate, so I was sweating profusely through like my clothes like all the time, and then like the sudden light was also like crazy. You can catch me in some of the videos where I'm just like I'm mean mugging, but it's actually just I'm blind. I actually can't see where I'm going. So it's just like I'll like look around like this, and that's just me trying to like we also didn't have sunglasses in the city, so that was one thing. So I was just like constantly walking around like first like newborn type of thing. So, nothing that they could have truly controlled. But I definitely was like a victim to the heat. So that's also why I had to constantly like hydrate and be indoors most of the time. Was just like if I don't take care of myself, I'm not going to be the best player for the next game too. That was another component people were not considering, like maybe not sleeping appropriate hours too, which could be a story for another day. Like some people were just truly not taking care of themselves because they put the game first instead of like, you are the player. So like how can you play the game if you don't take care of the player? So that's my bit.
Hannah?
I heard you said you're not going to redact my comments earlier. Right. Yeah, I mean, I feel like without like our phones and other people we knew and all that, like it forced us to like get creative in ways to entertain ourselves that like I usually am not in my everyday life which I loved. Like I think this was released somewhere in some video or behind the scenes things, but we did like an all cast talent show, and that was just like a really fun moment that actually felt like I for once felt completely joyful and not stressed, and like we as a whole city were like happy and loved each other, and there was no competition or strategizing going on. It was just like fun. And then as far as a least favorite thing, probably the fact that our showers did not, sometimes we're not always warm, or sometimes didn't have enough water, and I just don't want to go to sleep without washing my face. So I remember one time I had to like wash my face in a porta potty, which is I feel like not something I ever wanted, not in the toilet, of the porta potty. And that just feels gross even if it's the sink. So yeah, that's really
Yes.
Your answers sometimes, Hannah, kill me because
You always have me.
going back to episode 1, you had someone walk in on you on the bathroom to going to this of washing your face with a porta potty. What?
Why is there a theme of bathrooms for me?
Exactly. That's what I want to know.
I'll make sure to bring up the bathrooms in the next one as well.
I'm sure you have a story because you've had it for the first 2 episodes. Well, with that, folks, do y'all have anything else you want to add? I know we talked basically everything we could talk about.
Yeah.
I will say if there's anybody watching who is interested in pursuing an opportunity, whether it's Beast Games or something similar, if you're looking for your sign to do your side quest that you're too afraid of, this is it. This opportunity fell onto me, and it was never something I ever thought I would apply for. Normally, I'm like a behind the camera type of person, but it quite literally changed my life. And I know everyone talks about it, and it might sound like that's gassed up, but this was really, really a life-changing experience for I think all 200 of us, regardless of where you made it. through the experience, and I highly, highly, highly encourage that you pursue that and start thinking like, why not me? Like, instead of why me, like, why would someone pick me? Start thinking, why wouldn't they? So I highly recommend anybody listening to pursue that opportunity that you are interested about, and don't sell yourself short or put yourself in a bubble.
Amazing.
+1.
I would also add something to
Plus
like
one.
the same like in the same line of Emily too, is just like like in real life too, the same scenario, like it's a competitive world, like whether you're on a competition show, you're just battling in your own industry, like you can get through being a fair person, being the kindest that you absolutely can be, but not being pushed over. You know what I mean? You can still be aware of the people who want the worst of you, and that is so true in both aspects of it. And you can be dealt the cards you're dealt and move forward with it, or you can take it negatively and you know, it impacts how you move forward in the future. But like for me, like there is a way to be successful with decorum, truly. And I think also people who are the worst losers are the people who've never lost a day in their life. And I immediately could see that with a lot of people coming from a place of privilege, coming from competition aspects where like they were like the only in their field, you know, things like that. Like, again, there were so many I met who were like the most humble. And that's actually how you know they were like the strongest or the smartest. Like, there were some people where you'd be like, oh my God, I heard you were the number one this. And they were like, no, 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 I'm not that. Like, you know, I'm, you know, grateful to be here and things like that. So, like, same thing in the real world. I feel like if anyone's trying to flaunt something in your face, it's usually just a front. You know what I mean? So like there is some decorum in being humble and being fair and still being successful. So if I could add anything, it would definitely be that.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So, I mean, y'all literally laid everything out on the table, and it was just such a pleasure to have each and every one of you come on the podcast and be able to have the opportunity to share beyond what was in the game and what your story was.
Thank you for the opportunity. I had a blast. I love to yap about this. I'm super excited to continue to see how you break down the rest of the episode. So thanks for the opportunity to come speak today.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Absolutely. And with that, we'll be back with more Beast Games coverage. Hannah and I will be back for episode number 3 to recap that. Hannah, would you like to plug who we're bringing on?
We are hoping to bring on JT. I don't know why I'm saying hoping. I'm saying we are bringing on JT.
I'm excited for
I'm
that.
so excited. I'm so excited.
To spill more tea.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I'm super excited. But once again, y'all were incredible. Everyone else, be sure to check out everything we have going on the Reality After Show. We have Beast Games. They're talking about traders, and oh, by golly, it's been a first good batch of episodes that have been released. And then Survivor 50 is coming up in February. So be sure to check out all that content, all the coverage. And with that, ladies, once again, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you.